Hey guys, Balkan Architect here, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to model this home office inside of Revit. So this is really popular these days when everybody's working from home. So I wanted to show you how can you model something like this in Revit. Now if you have worked in Revit, you probably know that when it comes to this kind of custom cabinetry, Revit is really terrible. So it doesn't have the tools that we need. So in this particular case, I'm going to be using a plugin for this. Now if you want to do this without a plugin, I already have a video on kind of office design without a plugin, so just regular Revit tools, and I'm going to be linking that up in the cards above. Now in this video I'm going to be showing you how to use the RCCS plugin. So that stands for Real-Time Custom Cabinetry System for Revit. What this does, it gives you all sorts of these new tools that you can use to create custom cabinetry, just like what we're going to be doing in this video, and it's going to make it really simple, easy, and straightforward. So I'm just going to be explaining the whole workflow. Now, if you want to get this plugin, it's actually available on my website, balkanarchitect.com. So I'm just going to be linking that up in the cards above, and you can check it out there. You can get it, and there's I even have just a set of tutorials where I explain in depth how can you use this plugin, and it's mainly for kind of designing kitchens, but you can also design pretty much anything else that requires some sort of custom cabinetry, exactly what we're going to be doing in today's video. So anyways, now let's quickly jump into Revit. And as you can see, here we are in Revit, and I have just a couple of walls, a floor, and this is what we're going to be using for this office. So it's going to be kind of over here in the corner. Now here in Revit, I have my RCCS 23 version here installed. So what you'll see is we get all sorts of these tools. Now for this particular video, because when I make my tutorials I tend to zoom in my screen, you can see that this data entry box is just a little bit too small for me to see what I'm typing in, so I'm just going to kind of undock that and just place it here below, so it's going to make it a bit easier for me to work with it. But if you're working on a regular screen, it's not going to be an issue. Okay, so now let's jump into level 1 and let's get started. So you want to start usually with a sketch and an idea. I already have that, so now I just want to kind of bring that to life inside of Revit. So what I'll do here is I'll go on the RCCS tab, and I'll go here to the host wall setout, and I'll just click on the wall tool. Now first, before we do anything, we have to define the level on which we're doing this, and in this case that's level 1. Okay, so once we have entered that data, now you make sure to click enter, then you go to wall, and what it will do is it's going to place 4 walls here. Now it has an overlap, that's okay, so I'm just going to click OK there, perfectly fine, and then I'm just going to select this whole set of walls and just move it out like this. So it uses curtain walls as kind of a base, and that's perfectly fine. So what I'll do here is I'm just going to go to the move tool, move this straight here into the corner, and then I just want to set the size. So I know the length here is going to be 2700 millimeters, and then the width here is going to be just up to the edge of this room. Now these 2 walls I don't really need because it's just going to be kind of a corner element, so I'm just going to delete those 2. Okay, so now let's move this out of the way here. Let's go back to the 3D view, and this is what we have. Now one additional thing that I'll do is I'm just going to select these 2 walls and then change their height. So I want the unconnected height to be 2500 millimeters because it doesn't really make sense for me to build anything past that, because it would be really difficult obviously to reach. Okay, now let's get started. So you can follow multiple workflows, so you can either kind of sketch it out by using line work, and I explain all of that on my website. When you get the plugin, it's all included in the tutorials. Now in this particular case, I pretty much already know what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to skip some steps so I can get exactly what I want quicker. So what I'll do here is basically we have to use kind of the curtain wall or curtain grid tools in order to basically sketch out the shape of this corner office. So what I'll do here is I'll go to the grid tool, and then here we have basically the same tools as you have for curtain wall grids. And then what I'll come and do here is just place one here, because I know that on this wall here I want to have like a shelf that's about 500 millimeters deep, and then on this wall I just want to have a big table with a little shelf on top. So here I'm just kind of creating some space for that shelf that's going to go on this wall. Then I'm going to switch to one segment, and then let's create the wall here. So for the wall I want that to be around 7. Let's go with 72 millimeters, and then just I want one more here, making the thickness of that table 40 millimeters. Then on top of this here I want to have some sort of a shelf, so let's go up, I don't know, let's just go here, and for now let's place in a shelf here, and it's also going to be 40 millimeters wide. Okay, let's hit the escape key a couple of times so we kind of have the basic sketch of how this table area is going to look like. Now let's concentrate here on this side. So here what I want to have is I just want to have some shelves here, just some larger shelves, and then also I want to have some cabinets that are kind of I just want to create an interesting design. And then on this side here at the edge I just want regular shelves. So what I'll do here is I'll go to the grid tool again, create one vertical grid here for those kind of main shelves which are going to be coming in here. Then what I'll do is here let's actually add this one segment option, and what I want to do is I just want to align it here with this. So I'll hit the escape key a couple of times, and then I can simply use the regular align tool, so just the AL shortcut, and then you just want to align these two, there we go, and then align these two on top. So I kind of want to have mirroring that side, so we have like a L-shaped desk, which is basically what I'm creating here. Okay, then above that let's start adding some additional shelves. So let's go with one segment here. Let's have one here at, I don't know, we can have it at around 70 millimeters, and then one again here. There we go. So actually, now that I think about it, let's have this at 600 millimeters. So perhaps the top one can be 600 millimeters from here, just like that. Oops. And then the bottom one, if only I can grab it. So for the bottom one, that should be 40 millimeters. Perfect. And then here, the top one should be from here 600 millimeters, so it's going to jump that one, and then this one we can just move it down and make this 40. Okay, now I want this top shelf to match this one, so I'm just going to use the align tool again, and then just align those two just like that. Okay, so now we have the shelf here, we have these shelves here, and then here we have just a big shelf, so to speak. Okay, now let's move down here. So here I want to have a set of drawers. I think that would be really useful. So what I'll do for that is again go here to grid, one segment, and then those drawers can be like 600 millimeters wide, and then each one can be, I don't know, let's go with 18 millimeters here, or well, let's see. It's kind of hard. Okay, there we go. One more, and then here, let's just have one big drawer on the bottom. Okay, so once we have, or perhaps we can just have a, let's see, grid and one segment. So let's just add just a small gap here, so the drawers aren't really kind of on the ground. We don't want that. Okay, so we have that in place, and then also I wanted to have some kind of interesting shelves, or basically not shelves, but basically like these cabinets where we have like little doors that open. So for that, again, I'm just going to go here to grid, one segment, and then let's place just one segment here. We can go kind of in the center, just like that. There we go, perfect. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to select that grid, add remove segments, and then let's just add one more segment here, just like that. And then perhaps I can add one more grid here on top, just to kind of close it off. So just like this. And then I want to extend that, so add segment here, and then for this one, remove this segment here. So it's a little bit tricky, but you'll get a hang of it. And of course, if you have been working with curtain walls previously, then this is going to be really easy because it's basically the same approach. Okay, so once we have all of this in place, now it's time to turn this into actual elements. Now, you have here this option AI, and when it comes to creating kitchens, cabinetry, shelf system, open frame shelf, space frame shelf, and so on. So if you're working with something like this, you can use the AI and it's actually going to generate things for you, and you just click and it's going to kind of figure out what you want to do. In this particular case, I'm very specific, and this is something that's the AI hasn't been trained for yet, so I'm going to do this manually. But if you're working on a kitchen, for example, it would do this automatically for you. So what I need to do now is just assign which one of these elements I want to have in all of these different areas. So that's my job now. So first, as I said, I wanted to have like a big shelf here. So what I would do is I would go here to shelf, and then I would pick out like a box front shelf. Then here I would assign the depth of that shelf, which is going to be 500 millimeters. There we go. And then I would just click. See, and now this has changed from that X into basically abbreviation for that particular type of shelf. Then you hit the escape key a couple of times and you're done with that shelf. Then I want to go again to shelf and then a single shelf, and in this case again it's going to have the same depth, and I want to assign that here, 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 and then also here. So we have that. Hit the escape key a few times. Then here we have the, not for the shelf, but for the kickboard, which we need at the bottom of the drawers. So that should be kind of a little bit towards the inside, less depth. So let's go with 450 millimeters and just place that here. Perfect. Hit the escape key a few times, then let's go to drawers, one handle drawers, I think it would be more than enough. Set it back to 500 millimeters, hit enter, and then place those drawers there. Now you might be thinking, well, in some cases I don't want anything. Well, you shouldn't really leave it at this X sign. You have this void option, and then you can just assign that void there, and you don't have to worry about the depth here as well. So I want a void there, and then here and here as well. Also, obviously below the floor I want a void. I want a void here because it's basically going to be these shelves, and then above I want a void. Now here in front of the desk I don't want a void, I want some sort of a kind of material in front of the desk, and I'm thinking about adding cork, you know, so you can kind of pin things in. So I'm going to do that. So first let's do the desk itself. So for the desk, I'm just going to, you can use like a shelf, you can use a bench top. I'm just going to go with the bench top for this one. The desk should be a bit kind of, the depth should be bigger. So let's go with 800 millimeters. I like a big desk. And then let's click here. There we go. We have that big desk. Hit the escape key a few times. Then let's go back to our shelf single, and let's make this, we can go with 300 millimeters and place that here. Okay. We have that in place as well. Then, as I said here, I want to have some sort of a different material, and for that I'm just going to be using, here we have this infill like backsplash, and then let's assign the thickness, like let's try 6 millimeters and assign that here. So we have that, and then finally here I want to have some cabinets here and here. Hit the escape key a few times, and let's go with this. We can go with a 2-door cabinet system. And then let's set the depth to 500 millimeters and place it there and here. So now, if I have everything correctly, I think I've done all of them. So I think I have assigned everything. And now we come to the magical point where I'm just going to click one button and the whole thing is going to appear out of nowhere. So are you ready? Okay, so we go here to mode and we switch from 2D to 3D mode. So this was kind of a sketching mode just because it makes things so much faster, but now we're going to see the actual product. So let's go. And here we go. So as I said, it was going to be amazing, and this is what we get. So I'm quite happy with the way this turned out. Now, of course, at any point you can customize everything. So for example, here for this shelf, I don't like the fact that the outside is so much thinner than these shelves here. So what I'll do is I'll go here to modify the shelf, and then here we have the option for the shelf frame, and then I can set that to 40 millimeters. And then I click on that shelf, and it's going to update the thickness of that outside of the shelf, and now it's 40 millimeters. Now also, when it comes to this particular shelf, I don't like the fact that it has so many of them. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let's say I want to have less, so let's hit the escape key a few times, go again to shelf, and then let's go with the shelf count and set that to just 4. And then we click again, and what that will do is it will just update the number of shelves. So as you can see, it tends to do the things really quickly, and we get updates, and it's just like bringing in like a whole new family and fitting in the project perfectly. Okay, so we have that in place. So I'm quite happy with the way that this turned out. And then finally, we just have to worry about materials. So for materials, what I'll do is first I'll obviously switch this to realistic so I can see what materials I have by default. So it's usually just going to give you kind of white materials, and it tends to look really good just by default. But of course, if you want to assign some different materials, you can do that as well. So when it comes to assigning materials, you have this material option where you can kind of pick out a style, and it's going to kind of assign a whole style according to that. Now I'm going to be really particular in this case, so I kind of have what I want to do, so I'm just going to do that manually. So what you can do here is you can go and you can either paint, which I don't like to do. So what I prefer to do is just select individual elements like so. So you can just select like this multiple elements, like all of these shelves that we have here. So this one I'm not going to select. And then you can actually play around with the material. So here I can search for the material, and let's search for birch. There we go. So I can just assign that and click OK. So it's going to assign that material here. So all of these elements are just like families which have instance parameters. So you can just go ahead and change those instance parameters, and you will change the styling, or the material in this case. So let's hit apply. Let's see how that looks like once the material change has been applied. There we go. So that should now have that birch material. There we go. Looks beautiful. So let's select this table here as well, and then I'm just going to apply that birch material there as well. So I think only these two parameters should do the trick. Let's see. Yeah, and that gives us that birch table there. Okay, so as I said, for the backsplash here, or for this background for the desk, I wanted to have cork, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to select this and then go here to the front, and then I think we should have like a cork material. Let's see, here we go, cork tiles, that's perfect. And now this kind of work area is going to look even better. So let's see that. There we go. So as you can see, it's starting to look really, really good. And then of course for additional elements, so for example for this shelf, if we want to change something there, we should be able to do so. Let's see. So in this case, I'm just going to be changing the materials by going here and using the paint tool. So that's one of the options that you have. So let me just show you that quickly. So what you can do is you can just come in here and essentially paint whatever you want to paint. So here, if I just want to paint the top, make sure you don't leave out these sides here. So just like that. So elements that you want to manually change like this, you can. So here, just a few more, and that should do the trick. There we go. And then let's say I want to leave the rest of it as is. I can do that, hit done, and we're done with our little office. So there you go. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and now I'm just going to be adding just some additional elements to this just to make it look a bit nicer. And with a little bit of playing around and adding just some clutter around the office space, this is what we get. Now keep in mind that these families, like the chair and these two plants, those are available on my website under the families, so if you just go up in the cards above, you can find it there. Now if you want to get this project file as well as all of my other Revit project files, those are available on my Patreon page, and I'm going to be including a link to that also up in the cards above. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to check out my website, balkanarchitect.com, for more Revit courses. There I have over 120 hours of content, and I'm adding more each week. Make sure to subscribe for more videos, and also I've added a video over there that might interest you as well.